Radio DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
We're not hearing any audio from the feed. Radio Florida this morning. This is Brother Robert DePaulis. I'm here in Tampa, Florida, and of course today is Saturday, the 12th of October. It's about 9:30 in the morning here on the East Coast of the United States, and we're very glad to be able to be on air today. For many of you, you probably knew that the state of Florida here in the U.S. was battered with yet another hurricane, Hurricane Milton, that made landfall earlier this week. Here in the studio in Tampa, we do have power. So fortunately, we're able to be here. We're going to be talking with some of our guests and our co-hosts today as well, hearing a little bit about their stories. But of course, today's topic, which is really, really going to be something I think that's going to be fun. It's about why is the English language so much of a challenge to master? Why is it so hard to master? And even myself, who that is my first language, it's still hard for me to master. So we'll be talking about that here in just a moment. But I'd like to take a quick second and greet our hosts and guests that are here today. First of all, my co-pilot this morning is Sister Elida Sanchez there in the central part of the state. Hey, good morning, Sister Elida.
Good morning, everybody. Hello. It's nice to see everyone. Our chat is so active this morning. Everyone's saying hello. It's all over Florida. We have Kissimmee. We have Orlando, right where I am. There's East Jax. There's where else? South Jax. So very, very excited for our topic, and I can't wait to speak with our other guests that we have here as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, and well, let's go ahead and jump right over to her because we're very fortunate to have with us today, despite this hurricane, is our beloved Sister Cassandra, who is also the District Kadiwa President for here in the District of Florida. Good morning, Sister Cass.
Good morning, and hello to all of our viewers today. Once again, I'm excited to be here to join everyone to talk about this subject that I hold very dearly to my heart, and you will see later why that is.
Oh boy, I'm excited and a little scared at the same time. So I feel like I have to do a presentation in front of the teacher, Sister Elida, today. So just no judging, okay? No judging for us this morning. But before we get started, we're going to go ahead and just kind of go over the the topics that we're going to be discussing today. Because like I mentioned, one of the things that had just happened recently here in the state of Florida is that we were battered with another hurricane. And of course, we are very resilient here in Florida, but we wanted to give you guys an update on how things are going, just because hurricanes are very, very devastating to so many. And they're also just something that even in its aftermath leaves so much that still needs to be done. And Hurricane Milton made landfall last Wednesday at about 8:30 in the evening here on the East Coast in and around the Sarasota area, which is a little bit south of us here on the West Coast of Florida. It made landfall as a Category 3 hurricane with in excess of 120-mile-an-hour winds when it made landfall. Now, of course, as it made its way across the state, it weakened a great deal, but certainly there was still a tremendous amount of damage. That photo that you see there is probably one of the more iconic photos that came out of this hurricane. That is the beloved Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the roof of that stadium was actually ripped off by the hurricane force winds that came across the state. Hurricane Milton peaked as a Category 5. That meant that its winds were in excess of 180 miles an hour at one point as it was making its way from Mexico across the Gulf as the warmer waters began to feed and energize that storm. So very thankfully for us, it was able to reduce and weaken by the time it made landfall and was a Category 3. Still a tremendous amount of devastation that occurred when it made landfall. We had over 18 inches of rain in some parts, which I know Florida is surrounded by water, but we don't need that much. And, we again had a tremendous amount of water that fell as a result of the rains. And of course, that equaled a lot of flooding, which is where many of the homes that were damaged had to succumb to all of the flooding and the storm surge, which was over 10 feet of storm surge that was recorded for this particular storm. There were over 48 reported tornadoes, which, of course, you mix that along with the storm surge, the flooding, and everything else. It is just absolute devastation for so many of those areas. And at its peak, we had over 3.4 million homes here in the state in the path of Hurricane Milton that lost power. And we still have, we're now 4 days since Hurricane Milton made landfall. It's now we're just actually entering the 4th day of that since it made landfall, and we still have many thousands of homes that don't have power. I just traveled to downtown Tampa yesterday, and many of the street lights are still out. Sister Cass, I know you guys live super close to the west coast of the state, almost right on the water. Down there in Hudson. And what is the situation for you guys there right now?
So when we got off the exit, it's about like 19 minutes to get from there to my house. And it ended up being almost 2 hours because of all the rerouting with the different road closures. You have power lines that are down, trees in the middle of the road, deep flooding in the middle of the road. And so it was, it was hit pretty hard. Yes.
It was, and you guys do have power though there in your home at least.
We have it now, yes, but
Very
there was,
good.
yeah.
It's a challenge because even here, my son, brother RJ and sister Audrey, one of our co-hosts here, they've been staying with us for the last 4 days because their place in Tampa, which is near the central part of Tampa, has been without both power and water since then. And it's just unimaginable for so many folks that are having to deal with not having power. And, being in Florida, the one thing that is, I guess, the bright side when you have to look at things is the bright side is since the storm, the temperatures here haven't been your typical Florida temperatures. It hasn't been in the 90s with 1,000% humidity, right? It's been cooler. A lot of folks who don't have power are able to keep their windows open, which means that nice cool air is at least flowing. So it's not absolutely just unbearable, but it's still just so hard for many of those folks that still don't have power. And I know that there's still right now, the linemen have been here. It looked like an army at one point. I was looking out my window and saw on the freeway just an army of trucks coming in from out of state to help get people back online. And Sister Lyda, I know you guys there in the central part of Florida in Orlando, Milton made its way right across the state and went right over you guys. I think by the time it got there, it was probably closer to a Category 1, if not a tropical storm. But how did your family, your house, your area fare during the storm?
So thank God that it did only get to a Category 1. It was a little bit scary, watching the news and you're like, oh my gosh, Category 5. But then we realized, okay, we're not on the coast, so it's not as scary as it could be. There was a lot of wind that sounded scary, especially like my room is right next to the window, and I can hear it. And but part of me was it was kind of soothing a little bit. So it was just heavy rain, really. But then the morning after, there was a lot of trees, like branches everywhere, minor flooding. So it's luckily, and thank God again, that we weren't hit as badly as other places. And I'm so glad that Sister Cass and Brother Rob, that you guys are here and you guys are good as well, being closer to the coast. So
Yeah, great.
my prayers go out to you guys and everyone who's on the coast. It's definitely scary.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we're definitely not as close to the water as Sister Cass is. We're probably about 15 miles east of where the storm would have come across as it made landfall. If it made landfall a little further up, we had our storm shutters up. We were part of that very small portion of folks that were luckily enough, that were blessed enough to not have lost power. So we've had power throughout. And, but right now, biggest problem, there is no, well, aside from the power, gasoline. Trying to find gasoline is such a challenge. The lines, so few stations have gas. So, a lot of people are encouraged to try and obviously stay home if it's possible for them, because the lines to get gas are in excess of 2 hours in some places, excess of an hour at least. So I'm sure that everything will get back up, but it's just going to take some time for it to recover. Next week, we're going to be going in depth on a couple of stories for folks that were impacted and their experiences in the hurricane. So please stay tuned for next week's episode, where we're going to be talking in greater detail about the storm. But again, just very grateful and blessed for everyone that has been able to make it through and that we're here today to join you. So on to the topic today. I'm going to ask Sister Elida and Sister Cass both. You guys are primarily English speakers, right? So English is kind of like your thing. It's your jam. That's what 60-year-old people say, right? It's. But when you talk about it and compare, like what language to you would be a difficult language to learn, Sister Elida? What's challenging to you that you think would be a hard language for you to learn?
I would say Japanese. I feel, but apparently
yeah.
I've heard that Japanese is very simple, and that it's English that we should watch out for.
Yeah, that's kind of the theme that we're hearing, right? Okay. What about you, Sister Cass? What language have you like maybe always wanted to learn, but it just seems really, really hard?
I'd stick with English though.
Still? Oh, wait a minute. You know English better than anybody I know.
That's because I took 3 years of ESL as a child in school.
Okay, so you maybe are the one that has mastered it, despite our title of our show. You may be the master. We're going to find out here in a little while. And for me, I've tried learning Spanish. I've done a couple of those online classes that they do. Like the apps and stuff, to try to gamify learning a language. And I'll tell you right now, Sister Lulu, my wife, is waiting to go back to Paris because she has mastered French. One of those apps. She's walking around speaking to all of us in French, and I'm like, I should have never showed her the app, but now I'm. but
I
for me,
that was how your time in Quebec was too.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, I think when you're going to learn a language, part of it has to be that like when you went to school, you were told, at least when I went to school, you were told you had to learn French or Spanish. Those were the only two real choices, and I think it expanded to like maybe German. I think, and of course, you struggle with it because it's not something you're really into. It's a requirement. But I think if you are learning because you're planning a trip, because you really are fascinated by the language, then you're motivated probably more so to want to learn it. And I think like for French, for her, that's the case. I just haven't found a language. I tried Spanish because I'm very often confused for being Hispanic. So I thought maybe learning it would be helpful. It's hard. But people that I speak to from other countries consistently tell me English is the hardest language to learn. And on today's show, we're going to find out and uncover why that is. And we're going to talk about a couple of things that are nuances in the English language. And I may need to have some help here from Sister Cass, who's my resident expert and master on the English language. But we're going to be talking about two things called heteronyms and homonyms, or homophones. I think it's homophones, because those are what make this language so confusing. I think in other languages, it's pretty straightforward, right? The word is the word, and it's spelled that way, and that's the way that it's used. Well, here, for example, you have a heteronym, and a heteronym is a word that has different pronunciations and a different meaning, but it's still spelled essentially the same, or has very much the same combination of letters. And here's a perfect example. So in that first bullet, you have the word, what, Sister Elida? How would you pronounce that first one?
I'd say lead.
Lead. Sister Cass, how would you pronounce that? And I know, because you're Kadiju president, what you would say. What would you say?
Lead, as in lead.
Lead, like in leader, right? So the word has EA in it and you're pronouncing it as lead or lead. Now, imagine there's no rule for how you're supposed to do that, right? You just need to know it. So when people are first learning the language, you're not understanding like, and even the word lead has two meanings, doesn't it, Sister Elida?
Oh yeah, exactly. For me, when I think of lead, I think of the pencil. The
Lead
stuff that
pencil,
you
right?
write. Yeah, that's what
Exactly.
I think of.
And what's funny though, and Sister Cass, you use the word lead because you're talking about being a leader. But then if you're a leader and you're the one following, you're someone who's being what?
Lead.
Being led. But how do you spell that lead?
L-E.
LED.
See? So it's leader, Lead, is lead, leader. But then if you're the one following the leader, then you are being led. But that led is spelled Led. But Lead is also lead, but it means like a pencil or a mineral or, so kind of like a metal, right? Makes no sense. But yet, we have to know what it is. It becomes natural. Same thing with the EA, lead. But then if it's EAR, it's not air. It's pronounced what, Sister Cass?
I have an accent, so I would pronounce it as ear, but
Air. Oh, that's right, because you're from up north. Yeah, you're one of those people from the Northeast, It's like it's not garage, it's what? How do you pronounce it? Garage.
I'm just kidding.
But then you have pair, right? So you have ear, but then somebody says, oh, then PEAR is peer, but it's not, it's pair. So the rules don't really help you to understand why you're pronouncing it a certain way. So now the next bullet, you have, how would you pronounce that one, Sister Lida?
I would say tear.
Tear. And then Cass, what's the first one that comes to mind when you see it like that with no context?
fear.
Tear, right? Two different meanings. Again, tear versus tear. One is the action, one is what happens when I'm trying to speak a different language. I have tears. And then you have the third one. What's the first thing that comes to mind, Sister Cass, for you when you see it? Live, like
We
being
are
at a
on
concert.
live.
That's right. We're on live right now. What about you, Sister Lida? Living your best life,
Living
right?
your best life.
All right. And then this next one, wound. For me, like every time I see it, it's wound because I'm always wound up. But the other word is
Wound.
wound.
I
You
see
see
wound.
wound. You see wound. And see, in the English language, so much depends on context. It depends on where it is in the sentence, how it's being used. And without the context, if I'm just throwing words at you like I'm doing right now, this is exactly why it's so confusing. And of course, the last one can be read or read. So the next thing I want to do, and because I've got two super smart people on the panel with me here today, we're going to talk about homophones. Homophones are words that sound the same as another word, but they have completely different meanings and they're completely spelled differently. So we're going to play a little game. And for you that are watching online, I know Sister Elida is monitoring our chat and she, is watching and waiting to see if we can get these answers. I'm going to put a word up on the board and I'm going to ask you to give me the homophone, including the meaning of the homophone for that word, including its meaning. Okay, you guys ready? I'm gonna call on each of you guys separately, or actually, what we're gonna do is we're gonna play a little game where you're gonna have to say your name, and we're gonna see who gets to go first. Okay, on the homophone. Ready? Okay. First word.
Aisle.
Oh.
Oh, all right, Sister Cass. I heard you first. So what is the homophone for this?
Aisle.
Spell it.
ISLE.
Okay. You can't pronounce it differently. And then what are the two differences in the meaning?
Aisle, like this one is like a shopping aisle when you're going grocery shopping and you see something like that's the aisle. And then the other one, I don't know. It does have to do with an island.
It's an island. Is that what
Okay.
you said? ISLE, island. Okay, yeah. So aisle is like you said. So it's a shopping down an aisle, and the other is aisle, ISLE. Okay, here's the next homophone. So ready?
Seller. Oh,
Oh. Sister Light is handicapped because she's trying to monitor the YouTube channel at the same time. So what is the homophone for this, Sister Cass?
seller.
Well, spell it.
CELLAR.
Okay, and what is it?
That one is like when you got a basement seller, and then
Right.
this one
This
is like seller like an iPhone seller at a Apple store.
At a store, you're selling.
Yes.
You're slanging iPhones, right? That's the you're a seller. All right. Here's the next one. Sister Lyda, you ready? You watching? You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Very.
Very.
Oh.
Can I go?
I don't know. I think Sister Cass's internet must be faster because she's closer to me than you. You're all the way in Orlando, so
I think so as well. I think
my
that hurricane still has its effects right now. That's what I
yeah.
heard. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to Adelida though to go say what the other.
What's the other one?
Ferry as in boat.
And how do you spell it?
FERRY.
All right. I was gonna say, were you literally looking that up just now?
She was.
No, I was
I
not.
heard keys clacking. I don't know.
Interacting with the chat. No, I was gonna say for the password, when you said aisle, I thought of aisle as in like I''LL, like I will. Does that count?
Oh, you know what? Well, that's that's a contraction, right?
Yeah, but like it sounds fun.
It sounds the same. So does it qualify as a homophone?
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting question. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to look that one up.
Yes.
All right. All right. Next one. You guys ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Right.
Oh, I legitimately heard Elida first. So
I don't know how legit.
literally heard her first that time. Okay. What's the homophone for this?
Oh man, I wasn't ready. I just
Were you
wanted to beat this.
that's a penalty. You can't like raise your hand when you don't know the answer.
I just wanted to beat Sister Cass. Okay, homophone is red, as in the color. Thank you, chat. Thank you so much,
Did
chat.
they tell you? Okay. Red is the color?
As in the color, and it's spelled RED.
Okay, so this is a bonus though. Sister Cass, is there another way that this can be pronounced with a homophone?
Yes, red as in RE. Wait, read.
I'd like to
What-
phone
Yes,
it.
yes,
Read.
because when you use the word read instead of red, then you also have like read as in REED.
Oh, there you go. Where's my hand clap? Where's my hand clap? There you go. There you go. We're gonna throw you some hand claps because read obviously is a heteronym, right? We just talked about that earlier. But we've also got read, READ, because you're reading a book. But then you also have read, which is REED, which is what is that, Sister Cass?
I think it's a flute. It's like part of a flute, no? Is that just
I was thinking of reef. Not gonna lie.
wait?
I was gonna say the Great Barrier Reef, and I was like, no, it's the Great Barrier.
No, Great Barrier Reef. Really? No, it's reeds are those things that come out of the water, right? If you see like swamps and stuff, you see little plants that come out. They're like, come on, help us out, audience. If you're watching right now, help Brother Robert out of this mess. But if a reed is like a bamboo reed that comes out of the water, so that way it actually sticks out, and it's what people actually use. You could break it off and you can make furniture and stuff out of it. So I think that's what it is. REED is a reed, which is a plant, versus read like reading a book.
Isn't it
So,
also part of an instrument?
It is because the reed is the bamboo, like a clarinet.
Oh,
Saxophone. It's that wooden piece that comes from. It's a piece of wood. So you guys can fact check me.
You're probably. You have years of experience on your
Paul.
Okay.
Oh, man.
You're distracted. Yep, she got you. But now, what's the homophone for this?
Paul.
And what's the other one?
Paul. as in
How do you spell?
L,
Okay.
like U-Haul.
Like you haul, like you're taking something away,
Yeah.
versus this one, which is what? The candy?
No, that's
The
missing an
cough drop?
Haul as in like in your home, like you have the narrow walkway path before you get to like the bathroom or the rooms. That's the hallway.
Very good. Very good. All right. Let's see. I think we've got just a couple more here. You paying attention, Sister Lida?
Yes.
I'm so competitive, Sister Elida.
You just finished. You should have like all of those endorphins going. You just finished a workout this
I know,
morning.
but
so-
I'm like this.
Yeah, it's too many. All right, here we go.
See,
Oh man, no, Brother Rob, you sabotaged.
See, sorry. See what happens? That's when you're not paying attention. So, what is this, Sister Cass?
if you said the word seas, it would have been a lot cooler because there's a couple of different words that are the same, like sound the same, but they're different words. But this one is see as in you can see, what do you call it? You can see someone, you can see something.
Yeah, I see you.
Or
see you.
sea as in the waterway. But if you put seas, it would have been seas.
Oh, well, when you put an S at the end, I immediately think candy. Those of you in California know what I'm talking about.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Sister Amor in the chat says "see" as in like Spanish. Yes.
Oh,
Good one.
see?
That's
What happens when you all right.
We have
I see.
bilingual people in the chat.
I see you.
They're
Okay.
so faster than your Sister Elida.
They are, which is so sad.
All right, we're gonna have to really work on. Do you want me to mute Sister Cass's mic?
Yes.
Is that gonna help you, Sister Lida? All right, let's see. What's this one?
Road.
Oh,
I said it first.
legit, got it. Okay, but now do you know what the homophone is?
Road. Okay, let me. Road. This one means like on like the road on the street. I know there's also road as like a name, like RHODE, but I don't know a word.
Road
Oh,
as in
no.
like I rode a horse today.
Oh, road or RODE. Thank you, Sister Cass.
See,
You're so kind.
we're living
Love of
proof.
brotherhood.
We're living proof here why the English language is so hard to master. It's all right. I think we may actually be on.
Some.
Ooh, that was a
Look at
tie. That was a tie. Who do you guys in the audience think that was?
Chat.
Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Who said it first, Sister Lida or Sister Cass? I'm gonna wait until somebody in the chat tells us who. Anybody giving a vote? Who's the? Ooh, all right.
Wait.
I guess
Oh,
all right.
I didn't hear. Okay.
We're gonna. Okay, there we go.
They already told us the answer. So some.
Our audience is so fair. They don't want anyone. They don't want anyone to feel like they don't matter. So all right. So I'm gonna give that one to you, Sister Lida. What's the other one?
So some. This one means a couple, not all, but a little bit. And then some, as in SUM, which is equaling fully that whole thing. Oh, everyone's saying it's me, anyways. So.
Oh, there you go. Oh, look at that. They're
no,
jumping in there. Oh man, underdog.
Kitty. No,
All right, let's get to this one.
Oh man, I wasn't paying attention.
There. All right, what is that, Sister Cass?
So this is probably one of the trickiest ones, I think, there and yours. So let's break it down. This one is a location. You can find that there. There's another one, EHEY apostrophe RE. That is short for they are. So you're talking about something. And then THEIR, which shows possession. That is their candy. 3 different ways. Do not mix them up.
That's very fancy of you. PHANCY, fancy, right? Let's see. All right. I think we're almost.
Oh man.
All right. 2 meanings. We're almost running out of time. Really quick. What's the 2 meanings?
So this is like the stair, like staircase, there is stare as in like staring at someone, and then there is stare as in like you're driving and you're staring.
Oh, very good. Wait, did you say steering or
Yeah.
staring at something?
Stare. I said like you're staring something.
But isn't that steer?
That's
STEER?
here.
Not with my accent.
Okay, so we know that the language applies different depending on where you're from now. Okay. All right. All right. Very good. That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. Loads of fun. We've got a couple things I wanted to put some reminders out for you guys. Sister Cass, you want to give a quick update on what's going on in the CFO here in the District of Florida?
Absolutely. So thank you. So for some things happening in our District of Florida, first we have our CBI INC Students Unity Camp. This will take place tomorrow on 13th at 4 p.m. in the locale of Orlando. Anyone who is of CBI membership, so high school, college of any degree, please come and join us in Orlando for some CBI Unity fun. We have a Kadiwa Binhi 51st anniversary special gathering. This is also going to take place in Orlando. This will be October 20th at 6 p.m. or 5 Central Standard Time. Everyone will go to Orlando, but there will be a WebEx connection in Pensacola, so whichever one you go to. And then finally, you have this is Kadiwa. This is for 24th at 6 p.m. This will take place at St. Petersburg Chapel. So we hope to see you all there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Again, we are the fastest 30 minutes on radio. It's a couple minutes after 10 o'clock here on the East Coast. Coming up next is actually a great program, which is our friends over there at INCRadio South Central States. So Brother Nate is going to be leading that program there. And we want everyone to please stay safe because we know that we're all still recovering from Hurricane Milton. We wish our best to everyone who was impacted or affected by that. But for now, we thank you so much. I'm Brother Robert here in Tampa, Florida, for Sister Elida that's there in Orlando. And of course, Sister Cass, thank you for joining us today from there in Tampa, Florida as well. But see you next week on INCRadio Florida.
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.